Today in history, in 1985, the Coca-Cola Company introduced New Coke, a reformulated soft drink meant to replace its flagship beverage. Due to public outrage, however, the previous version of Coke was brought back as Coca-Cola Classic less than 3 months later. The people spoke.
Welcome to What the Fuck History, where we discuss the wackiest and weirdest things that make us say, well, what the fuck history. I am your host, Zachary, and I was going to have an introduction that made sense to my story, but instead, I'd also just like to say, on top of your thing, the flavor New Coke still exists. It's the flavor of Diet Coke.
Oh, that's crazy. It kind of sounds like a drug, like a drug hitting the street, but they were like, we don't want to come up with like a snappy street name, so they're like, it's like cocaine but new. Well, so like New Coke, you've seen like the Diet Coke cans, how Coke is in a sans serif like block font. Yeah, that
is the font they used for New Coke, and that's why regular Coca-Cola has the script like typeface that Coca-Cola is known for, and why Diet Coke has diet in the script, but it has regular Coke in the new and improved formula block text. So, yeah, the flavor of New Coke is the flavor of Diet Coke.
Why is there such deep lore for Coca-Cola? Like, every new facet
Hey, Megan, you should introduce yourself.
Company. I know. My name's Meghan. I'm thinking about Coca-Cola. Go ahead.
And I'm Matt. Today I learned that traditionally in Greek theater, almost no death happened on stage.
I thought
usually
you were going to say
they happened off stage and the body was shown later. I wanted to tie it into Coca-Cola, but I write a script for myself, okay? It's literal words on a page that I have to read or I lose my mind.
Back to Coca-Cola.
I get you, but I thought you were just going to say, today I learned more than I needed to about Coca-Cola.
I also learned a little bit more than I needed to about Coke. Zach, what's going to be fun about that is that you edit out all the parts that don't make that a cohesive intro. So it's just going to be like you saying your thing about Coke, and then Megan's going to sound so exasperated and be like, I'm Megan and I'm thinking about Coke.
I'm Megan. I'm thinking
and
about
only
Coke,
our
and I'm
Patreon subscribers are going to be like, wait, what part of the conversation did we miss?
And I've got Coke on the brain.
It's Megan, and I've got ghosts in my blood, so I should do cocaine about it.
I'm so mad about Coca-Cola, the company.
I'm mad.
I'm so mad. I just feel like Coca-Cola, like every single time I learn a new fact about the company, it's just like, it's more deep lore.
Yeah, no.
You know?
Yes.
It's like when you read a D&D
like
manual, and it's just like, yeah, it's like Fey
Except
lore.
worse,
You're just like,
it's capitalism.
Let me learn more about them.
There's I saw a post on the internet a while back because Coke was coming out with like a new flavor. It was going to be like Coke Orange or something like that. They come out with new flavors all the fucking time. But I think this was vitriol directed, having a burping fit, specifically at the fact that they were making like Coke Orange, and someone just posted a picture of like the preview picture for the Coke, and they were like, listen up, motherfuckers. Either put the cocaine back in it or stop fucking around.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, you had it right the first time.
Yeah, no, you definitely had it right.
Why'd you go fuck it up?
Why'd you fuck it up?
I don't know, politics or something.
I mean, I think it was
anyway,
doctors. Doctors were like, cocaine's
Doctors
actually
were
bad
probably
for you.
like, cocaine's bad.
Yeah, well, politics and doctors, they're the same thing.
Honestly, who needs them?
Who needs them at this
we're gonna
point?
be talking a lot
if I can't
about
pay for them,
politics in my story,
who needs them? Oh, well, we're going to be talking about neither doctors nor politics in my story.
All right, dear listeners.
The title of which...
The strikes are at 0.
Will be announced after.
The rock, paper, scissors has been played. The order was determined before we recorded this time instead of in the middle of the episode like last time. And
we're not
the order for tonight is Megan, followed by me, followed by Zach. feel like sometimes we
Yes.
just ramble and then we forget that I do like a whole intro part where I remind the
never
listeners
forget.
that we do have a strike system and
Like the thing that Bush did, I never forget.
Sometimes I forget.
dude, the best part about that night was just how serious James was when he's like, Bush did do 9/11.
This is just
Anyways.
an inside
Did
joke
you
for
not?
us. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, guys, if you're listening, first of all, he did. Secondly, it's an inside joke. Don't take it seriously. Don't tell the FBI.
But do, maybe. They already know.
They do.
They already know.
They were there that night.
They already know. They were there.
But Meghan, take it away.
Yeah, I'm going to go. So, the title of my story that has nothing to do with doctors nor politics will have to be explained at the end of the story, and you'll probably groan in, like, a sad way.
Is it strike worthy?
But anyway.
Will we
It might
will we
be,
groan in a strike worthy way?
Only God can judge me.
Fair enough.
So
Says that
my
every time
title
we
is
try to
hit-
give her a strike, by the way.
only God.
But every time we've levied a
because it's
strike
true.
at Meghan, she's gone, I don't accept because only
Yes.
God can judge me.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if
Only
we're
God
free
can
of
judge me.
politics, no God, no man, no gods, no kings, only man.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. And I am the ultimate. I am the Uberman. The ultimate. So the title of my story is "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time,"
Okay.
I'm intrigued.
and we'll just jump right into it. Alaska is huge.
It is. It's a big
that
place.
did not go where I thought it was going.
It's large.
You guys ever think about Alaska?
I do. I think about Alaska at least once a month.
This is my Roman
Probably
Empire.
because, like, whatever you're... Yeah, Alaska is my Roman Empire. Because I just, like, remember it sometimes, and I'm like, wow, it's just, like, up there. It's just, like, up there watching over us, like, Jesus.
Alaska
but
is the
colder.
United States guardian angel.
Alaska, take
It
the
is,
wheel.
It even has, like, one wonky wing reaching out towards Russia.
Yeah.
So anyway, whatever you're thinking about the size of Alaska, it's probably bigger.
It's exactly
because
like
it's
what
so
you're
big.
thinking about a moose.
Yeah,
They're bigger.
it's like a moose. It's just like a moose.
Alaska's
it's
bigger in
than
real
what
life.
you're imagining. It is bigger in real life, just like a moose.
Just like a moose.
So, and because it's so big, it also has like a massive coastline. Like there are a lot of nooks and crannies along the way that most people have never been to or even heard of. One of those places used to be a remote fjord. Is it fjord?
Fjord.
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 Okay. And the fjord in the northeastern part of the Gulf of Alaska called Lituya Bay. It was unheard of until precisely this story happened.
Wonderful.
So in the far off year of 1952, a petroleum geologist was conducting an investigation
I'm sorry.
in the area
Did you just say
surrounding...
petroleum geologist?
She did.
Yeah, petroleum
He's
geologist.
a Vaseline geologist?
This is America. There's
Yeah.
petroleum everything.
That's fair.
Yeah. He's a guy who's like, are there oils in those rocks? And he's the one who says yes or no.
We love
I
that
see.
sweet old
I thought-
dinosaur juice.
I thought he was just a geologist that went out into the field all oiled up.
All
Just
oiled up,
slick
slipping
as hell.
around.
He's just the greased up pig, but he's looking for rocks.
He's looking for rocks, naked and alone in Alaska.
And covered in petroleum jelly.
Naked, and
Covered
everyone is
in
afraid of him.
Vaseline. His skin is so soft.
Oh, man.
It's so well lubricated. So he's oiled up and looking for a good time around the area surrounding the Gulf of Alaska because we did not learn anything from the Exxon Valdez.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it hadn't happened yet.
yeah.
And by hadn't happened yet, I
Yeah.
mean... I don't know what I mean. I
hadn't
lost it.
happened yet. It hadn't happened yet. But This was the lead up to the Exxon.
Wonderful.
So we said, more oil near the Arctic, please. And by more oil, we mean the first oil near the Arctic, please. But as this guy was, around the area. He
just so menacing sounding. He's just around.
He was just around.
Can I do anything to get rid of him? No, he's
just slicked up and ready to go around.
He was too slippery. Too slippery. And so they're like, let him go. Let him just like explore and look for petroleum. So he noticed something really strange in Lituya Bay. All of the mature trees that surrounded the bay ended like very uphill, like hundreds of feet away from the water. And sure, there was vegetation below that line, but it was all new stuff like saplings and grasses. And being a big nerd, he was like, that's way more interesting than oil. And so he started theory crafting. He was like, well, there's no evidence of fire. Nothing looks charred. And then he was like, well, what it does look like is if a glacier had broken land speed records and had ripped everything in its path, just leaving like the bare bedrock behind. The problem was that there was no glacier in the location that would account for it. There was the theory of a tsunami, but the boundary was way further upshore than anyone had ever seen. Like, this had to be a huge fucking wave, and there had been no recorded tsunamis that big. And what's more, as he kept looking, he found evidence of, like, older tree lines around the bay. Like, whatever had caused the destruction wasn't just a one-off. And so the geologists talked to people in the area, and they told him stories about cataclysmic floods, but not where they were coming from. They were just like, there are stories that get passed down about floods, particularly in that bay, and we have no idea where the water's coming from.
Look, man, there's a lot of water, and we don't fucking know how.
Yeah, they were like, we can't tell you. Like, if anything, it almost became mythic. They thought there was like a monster that lived in the bay. So he took samples from the trees along the old growth and saw signs of blunt trauma, like something had fucking slammed into them and then just kept going. And he came up with some theories, but this mystery wouldn't be solved until 5 years later when people actually witnessed what had happened, and it was really bad.
Worse than a oiled up geologist?
Well, that's debatable.
Okay, all right.
He didn't really, when I was writing this, he didn't really, like, factor into the lore, but now that I'm realizing he was oiled up.
Now that we've made him an oiled up geologist?
Now it's important.
Yeah, he's actually a force to be reckoned with. So to put the bay in perspective, Lituya is like a narrow notch. It's only about 8 miles long and 2 miles wide. It's bordered by mountains on its western side, and it's pretty deep. It also has a small island in the middle called Cenotaph Island, and that will come in later.
Okay.
And the only way into the bay is through a little opening. It's about 1,600 feet wide, which in the grand scheme of things, that's not very big. It's like, that's not a very big opening that leads out to like open ocean. So on the outside, it looks like a great place to shelter when you're out ocean exploring. However, like I said, there were legends about it. The local, and I'm going to get this name wrong, so Steve is the only one who can judge me here.
Steve, you're now God. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, he is the linguistic god in our group.
True.
So I think it's called the local Tlingit people. It's like Tlingit. Said that there was a monster who lived at the entrance of the bay, and he created big waves, but it didn't stop people from going there. It was the only safe haven to be found for like 100 miles. So, monster, tidal currents and all, it was sort of like worth the risk to sort of spend time in this quote-unquote safe harbor. And no one had really seen any evidence of danger there except some people in 1936.
That's a long time ago. Who cares?
It was like long enough ago where people were like, fuck it, they're lying. People in the 30s were crazy from the Depression. So it was on an early October morning that the Mine, a trawler with 2 men on it, were at anchor in the bay after having spent the night. And at around 6 a.m., they heard a loud, continuous roar coming from the inland of the bay. It was dark. They couldn't see anything, but the white noise continued for about 30 minutes, and as the sun came up, they saw a 50-foot wave on a collision course with them coming from land.
Nice.
And needless to say, they fucking booked it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They hid behind... Yeah, they were like, there's a 50-foot wave coming at us from the beach. Like, where did that come from?
We gotta go.
I was about to make...
We gotta go.
I was about to make a reference to a thing that neither of you have seen, so it doesn't matter.
Wait, what thing?
Okay. What thing?
I was going to make a Wheel of Time reference.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm
Because
not
you
gonna
said-
get that.
Because you said that the wave was coming from shore, coming from land, and you were like, what could do that? And my immediate thought, and I'm almost a little sad that it wasn't a waterbender, but like my immediate thought was the Xian Shen, who are essentially the waterbenders of the Wheel of Time
the
universe.
waterbenders, yes.
But
Gotcha.
that
Yes.
was because they attack coastal towns with gigantic tsunamis before they invade. So
The Northern Water Tribe.
they are the Northern Water Tribe.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Well,
So that was my
that's a
little
good
bit
reference.
of nerd stuff that happened.
I mean, it was valid,
Yeah.
and it fit in with the story. So these guys, faced with the Northern Water Tribe, hid behind Cenotaph Island, and the men survived, but it was later discovered that the wave had reached 490 feet in some areas,
Holy shit.
which is a really big wave. And the trawler chugged along the bay looking for what could have caused this, but found nothing. The wave had simply appeared. And this brings us to the evening of July 9th, 1958. At the time, there were 3 fishing vessels in the bay. At about 9:30 p.m., all of the birds took off from Cenotaph. The people in the boats were like, huh,
That's weird.
birds are weird. And then they went to sleep.
Listen to the birds,
Like
people.
fucking idiots. That's what I'm saying. The birds all fly away. You go with them. So about 45 minutes later, the earth shook, and the water in the bay turned absolutely chaotic. And this was because the nearby fault was slipping, and it was a magnitude 8.
Jeez.
One of the men said he saw the actual Lituya Glacier, which was miles and miles away, tossed into the air. And people said he was crazy, but from what happened next, I think I believe him. So, one of the vessels saw the earthquake and started getting the hell out of Dodge, even after the waters calmed down, because then there was a crash, and one of the mountain peaks dropped into the ocean, 90 million tons of rock
Oh my god.
with the force of a meteor strike.
Jeez.
Yeah,
And
that'll cause a tsunami for
Yeah.
sure.
and the water was upheaved, and it formed a wave traveling at 110 miles per hour.
Damn.
It was yes, it was fast. It was breaking land speed records at the time. It was 300 feet in the middle and 1,700 feet on the sides, and it was scraping the mountains clean.
God.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the 2 boats who weren't going for the exit had their anchors stuck in the bay floor.
Oh, no.
Which they offloaded. They were like, fuck these anchors.
Yeah, fuck that shit. I'm out.
We're going. Yeah. So they offloaded their anchors. Their bows went straight up in the air, and one of their transmissions read, "Mayday, Mayday, I'm in Latuya Bay. All hell has broken loose in here. I think we've had it. Goodbye."
Oh my god!
And it ripped the boats up the shore, over the trees, but amazingly, it placed them back down in the middle of the bay, strangely undamaged, and the boat that made for the ocean was obliterated.
Oh gosh.
And when the same geologist came back, he recorded that the wave was 1,720 feet tall, making it the biggest tsunami in recorded history.
Holy shit.
And he solved the puzzle.
Yeah,
of
no
the bay.
wonder. The trees don't like to be down that low.
Yeah, they don't like to be down that low. So the reason why I said that you had grown at my story is that baby was spelled B-A-Y.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Strike.
No. Anyway.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So I know my story was a little bit longer, so we can sort of like...
Oh, that's
No, that was
so
good.
interesting, because
It's
like you go there and you
wild.
think you have an idea of what's happening, even though there's no evidence to support it, and then it's like, nope, we had no fucking clue what any of this was.
We had no fucking clue. I think what's interesting, too, is like... So they call the bay like an hydraulic anomaly.
Yeah.
Because like... Because the fault is so close and the mountains are prone to shedding rock
Yeah.
into it, and because it's so deep for such a small area, it causes very large waves to sort of build up very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also,
And-
like, picture a 10-story building coming at you made of water.
No, I'm good.
I know. The fact
Like,
that those,
way higher.
those
It's a
two other boats
skyscraper of water.
survived, I know. Like, so I had to look up, like, what 1,700 feet looked like, because, like,
Oh, yeah, what's the comparison
humans are...
to, like, a
it's,
people?
Like, it's taller than the Empire State Building.
Jesus, yeah.
Jeez.
Wild.
Like, by like, a lot.
By magnitudes.
Yeah.
But kind of, yeah. And so I read this thing too where like humans are very bad at judging how big something is based on height.
Yeah.
Because like we're pretty limited
Yeah.
in terms of like our perspective on that. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, that is really, really big. But I can't fathom it.
But I can't picture in my head.
But I can't even.
Yeah, like that's a big... I can't even, like, that's a big number, but, like, my brain doesn't understand it
Yeah.
in terms of height. Like, I can't understand Waluigi either.
Yeah, no, because who could comprehend the
enigma.
Lord? I sent Steve a thing on Instagram the other day that was like, it was a picture of Charles Martinet, who does the voice of Waluigi, and
Oh my god.
like it's just his eyes bugging out. And the comment on the
Amazing.
picture was, "I too would have a face like this if the voice of God was coming from me," which I thought was really
Same.
funny.
Perfect.
We're going to go from Meghan's story into a little bit of an ad read, and we're going to go into a little bit of an ad read because it's ad read time. And once again, we're talking to you about our sponsors for this episode of the podcast, Magic Mind. You guys have heard us talk about Magic Mind before, so I'll just remind you briefly. It is made with the cordyceps mushroom, and when The Last of Us happens in real life, Magic Mind will be able to control us. So, I honestly, I think it's interesting because they have all the ingredients on the side of the bottle. So if like you want to look up what each ingredient does on its own, it's really helpful. But for those of you that are just starting to listen to the podcast or haven't heard us talk about it before, Magic Mind is a little energy shot, a little health and wellness shot that you can take that will give you a nice little boost of energy through the day. It is not super caffeinated. It is minorly caffeinated, which is really helpful for me because I could drink half a cup of Pepsi and be up for the entire fucking night. And I've taken Magic Mind in the afternoon, and I've had no trouble sleeping. But it has given me, it has allowed me to ride a wave of energy for the remainder of the day. And as I said, it's all natural ingredients, and they list out what everything is so that you can look it up if you want. I was just having this conversation with one of our Patreon. Well, I say just. It was a little bit ago, but we came to a realization that Magic Mind is also really helpful for curbing ADHD snacking somehow. And I think it's just because it gives you like that boost of energy to focus on other things that you're not like sitting and having time to be bored. You're kind of just, you're going and not reaching for a bag of chips constantly. So that was kind of a cool realization to have. But yeah, Magic Mind is really beneficial. I've enjoyed using it on days when I wake up and feel like I don't want to participate in the day, or when I hit, you know, the energy barrier at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon where it's like I could keep going but really don't want to. So Magic Mind is perfect for that. And if you want to get in on the action, you can go to magicmind.com/whistory and use the code WHistory20, and you can get yourself a little wellness shot that'll keep you energized throughout the day. Are my coworkers still here?
Yeah, we're here. I was enraptured by your read there.
Well,
I know, it was a good read.
I just get concerned when you guys are quiet for a while because of the nature of this show. We're like bantering constantly, and so when you're quiet, I'm just like,
what's going on? Yeah, no, I wanted to actually, I wanted to be respectful and let you do your thing.
But yeah, just remember, also, I did do a little bit more research into the company, and it's made by a gentleman named James. And so I would imagine that he has two shoes. James is Jimmy Two Shoes, and he's going to infect you with the cordyceps and Last of Us you.
Man, I mean, I get that it's a bit, but I don't know if that's something that the ad wants.
Hey, so here's the thing. Magic Mind can tell me to stop saying that they're going to infect us with cordyceps. But... you know, they also told us to say whatever we want, so... No, I mean, it's honestly a great product, and I think everyone should give it a try if they aren't really into the idea of, like, a 5-hour energy shot, or, like, a Red Bull, or if they're trying to curb, like, maybe you rely too heavily on coffee to get you through the day, and you want to wean off that. I think Magic Mind is a really good alternative. Especially as someone who doesn't drink coffee all the time, Magic Mind has been really beneficial to just give me the energy boost through the day, and then I get to, go home and relax.
Yeah, coffee gets you energized like a shot of diesel fuel.
Yeah, a little. I was gonna say something else, but then Zach made me think that I probably shouldn't mention it in an ad read. So. Anyways, just to wrap up this ad read, that is magicmind.com/whistory, and our code is WHistory20. And now that I'm done talking about that, I'm going to start talking about a different thing. So my story is small because I spent a lot of time making jokes about cordyceps, but it focuses on an eccentric man. And don't worry, Zach, it's not a gentleman crimesman or anything like that. But it is a man by the name of Josef Mensic. And I'm assuming that I'm pronouncing it correctly because he's from Czechoslovakia. But if I'm wrong, he's not alive to tell me I'm wrong.
Only God can judge you and Steve.
Only God and Steve. So... there's a lot about this story that drew me to it primarily, but what made it really interesting to research is the fact that almost everything that's known about this man is contested.
I love this already.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Nobody can agree where Yosef was born.
Nice.
But
off to a great
many
start.
believe that he was raised in Bomerveld, Czechoslovakia.
Fake place, but all right.
His father and mother are unknown, aside from the fact that he definitely had a dad and a mom. But
Contested.
later in life, when talking about his family, he didn't mention them by name, nor did he ever mention whether he had siblings. So,
Okay.
you know, the real man from nowhere kind of situation. And it's also not specified how old he was when this story took place. So,
Okay.
you know. So, in a move that sort of makes all millennials look a little lazy, as soon as Yosef was old enough to buy property, he does so in grand fashion by buying a castle.
Okay.
Okay. It's not out of laziness, but continue.
No, it's out of capitalism, but it does
Yes.
make millennials look lazy as fuck that we can't just buy castles. What are we doing?
Oh, okay. I get it. It's sarcasm.
We're not hustling hard enough. We shouldn't be eating avocado toast. That's all I gotta say.
Hashtag grind.
I'm allergic to avocados.
Hashtag grind set.
Get that bread.
Hashtag
Rising
alpha
I
grind.
am
life.
allergic to them.
So it's called, I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's like DOBRS with a funny little symbol on it. Castle.
Okay.
So I'm just going to call it Dobers.
Yeah, go on.
And as soon as he acquires this castle, he begins to restore it to its glory days. He is, rebuilding brickwork, just tidying up all this other stuff. But it's important to note that he didn't just refurbish the castle. He also started a collection of antique weaponry and other curiosities that, fit medieval time periods, and armor and things like that. And he would display it in his castle. And people would often come by to see the work that he was doing. And while they were there, they would ask to see the curiosities. And so while he was rebuilding the castle, he ends up becoming like a historian and a museum owner, and like he's kind of just bringing people in and out of his place. But his interest in the castle doesn't stop at him collecting curiosities. He also lives in the way that a knight would from these times. So he doesn't use electricity. He uses torches and candles to illuminate the castle. He doesn't use a car. He rides a horse.
Nice.
And he's, essentially just conducting himself in a chivalrous way, which leads to him being sort of a pillar of his community. And while I was doing
this
research,
man's commitment
Yeah.
to the bit.
it is a commitment to the
I
bit.
do too.
But I wanted to ask a question because I know, we all come from relatively, smallish towns. They're not like massive cities like Boston or wherever where stuff like this is kind of normal. Do you guys have a local legend type thing where you walk by a person and they're weird, and if your friend were with you visiting from out of town, you could be like, oh yeah, that's
Oh yeah, Tom.
So
you gotta
and so.
explain Tom if you live in Pelham.
yeah,
Oh yeah, Tom.
Yeah.
In Pelham.
Tom in Pelham. Yeah,
Yeah, I know him.
is he the guy that's always trying to hitch a ride
He's the
on the
homeless
road?
guy?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because he doesn't want to pay. He didn't want to pay alimony.
good on him. There's a guy in downtown where I live that is just I always want to call him Rastafarian Jesus, and I know that Bob Marley is Rastafarian Jesus, but he's his hair's in dreads, and he he just walks in such a way that you're just like, that guy's probably got a really interesting story. And so while I was doing research on this guy that lives in a castle and, you know, I was just thinking, like, every small town probably has, like, a local who's a decent person, but you have to tell people about him.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my thought process. So anyways, as I mentioned, Yosef is a pillar of his community. People love him. He, you know, helps out around town. And then something happens in Yosef's life that he simply cannot allow to stand. And that is the forward march of German soldiers through his land in 1938. In the World War II. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Is it World War II?
Yeah, I believe that's the correct pronunciation, yes.
Steve will get at us later if I said it wrong. I know that World War I is pretty simple, but I feel like I emphasized World War II wrong. But anyways, so as German soldiers began to cross into Czechoslovakia, they were sort of just heading on their way, but they were headed in a direction where they would be in the town where Yosef's castle is. And as they're sort of cresting over a hill, they are met by one man dressed in full French armor with a sword and a halberd.
A hero.
And that man is Yosef Menchich. Unfortunately, Yosef is only one man.
Don't do this to me.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that his presence...
What a man he is.
What a man he is.
Yeah, and what a man.
But just one man. But he is a shocking presence to the Germans, and they stop their advance. But they don't stop it forever. It's not like they reroute themselves away from this man. They actually continue to march past him, and because he's one man atop a horse in armor, he sort of moves to the side of the road. And the soldiers kept walking by him and started, like, tapping on their helmets as if to say that he was crazy. But to say that he's crazy is kind of like a yes, but he also, like, they didn't settle in his village. Like, in the village where his castle is, they kept marching past it. It's not like they occupied the space. So he kind of won a little.
I was going to say, sure, you thought he was crazy, but he kind of won in the end.
He did kind of stop the Germans from wanting to settle down there.
Yeah, I think that's a win.
But yeah, so he his story has been told in the area where his castle exists. And a lot of people have, you know, gone back and forth on whether or not it was a brave thing to do or whether he was being an idiot. And I think, you know, he saw an injustice, couldn't let it happen, and decided that he wanted to... I mean, it's sort of like a protest, right? Like, you get in armor and you're like, you don't get to come here without a fight type thing. And then a lot of people equate him to Don Quixote in a way.
I was thinking that exact same thing.
Yeah,
and
sort of just
love
tilting at windmills.
Don Quixote.
But anyways, that's the story of Yosef Menchich.
Yosef.
And how he single-handedly...
is he a man? Is he a legend or a myth?
No, he's... both of those things, I guess.
All of those things.
All of the above.
All of those things.
I love that for him. I love a man who can commit to the bit, and I love a man who decides to go out in full plate armor and fight Nazis.
And I love a man in uniform.
I love a man in uniform.
Also that.
I'm also going to be speaking about a man in uniform tonight, so...
Oh, yes!
Let's get going. And coincidentally, he is German, but not the shitty kind. So, let's get into it. I am a sucker for anyone who considers themselves a jack of all trades, mostly because I feel that I fit into that category and I recognize my godly aura in everyone else. Jests aside...
Go on.
What was that?
Go on.
Go on, yes. Sorry, just stroking my own ego here. Jokes aside, I'll take a complex person over a narrow one any day. And that means that I really like this guy I'm about to talk about. He was a knight, a mercenary, and a poet. This German gentleman knew how to have a damn good time. So please relax and let me tell you the tale of the Iron Hand Knight.
I like this already. That's a pretty badass title.
I know.
Right?
I'm chilling.
My German is bad, so pardon me as I butcher some German. Karina, you specifically, I'm sorry, I'm killing another language tonight.
If there's one thing that I know for a fact Steve knows, it's German.
It's German.
Yes.
It's 1,000% German.
I think we're all set with the language god being able to translate for us.
So, the person in question tonight is Gottfried Gotz von Berlichingen.
I mean, that was
Holy
close.
shit, that's the most German name I've ever heard.
It's spelled Berlichigen, and as far as I can tell, it's pronounced Berlichingen.
Your guess is as good as mine.
That's with a little southern twang on it, but...
I took years of German, and I still don't speak as good as Steve, so...
So, Gotz was born in the illustrious year of 1480 in what is modern-day Germany. And he was born to a noble family, so he has a good education and a good upbringing, and there's not really much to his childhood, so it really begins to get rolling on the weird train as soon as he enlists at the ripe old age of 17. And Godfrey begins his service to Frederick I, Margrave of Brandenburg-Ansbach. I fucking love old German
Sounds
names.
That sounds so fake, but go on.
Yeah, it's real.
It does sound a little bit like a character in a video game or something.
But
where someone just pulled names out of a hat.
Right? What's a hyphenated word we can use for this town? Brandenburg-Ansbach. Got it. And so it's not a year into his service of Frederick I where he is just like, well, I guess I'll get thrown up against the HRE because, hey, it's always a good time to fight the Holy Roman Empire.
Of course.
And he fights under the banner of Frederick I for 3 years, seeing battle in Burgundy, Lorraine, and several other places before he retires from the army in 1500. So, at the ripe old age of 20, he retires from his service in the military. And he retires to form his own private military group, which is just a mercenary group. But hey, I love it because canonically this guy makes me feel like he's the 1500s big boss for Metal Gear Solid. Gotz and his band of merry murderers turn their attention to the War of Succession of Landshut. Landshut is apparently a town name. I'm sorry, it does sound made up.
Yeah.
That all of these names sound made up.
All of these things.
They're real.
I don't think they are.
They are.
But go on.
I can't wait for Steve to get in the chat and just be like, I've been to Landshut. It was actually really nice.
Landshut, not Landshat, man.
You know what? Again, I've taken years of German, and I'd never be able to get it right. It's Landshat to me.
It's all Landshat to me, baby. So yeah, in 1504, his mercenary group is hired by Albert IV, Duke of Bavaria, to fight on behalf of the Bavarians in the War of Succession of Landshut. And while laying siege to the city of Landshut, a rogue cannonball smacks Godfrey's sword right in its swordness, and it wrenches backwards in such a way that it just, well, it lops off his whole fucking hand.
Yeah, as would happen.
As happens.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So, undeterred by this minor nuisance, because why would you be? He finishes the war and Bavaria kinda wins. Like, it's all over.
Kind of.
Yeah, so it's about, like, succession and family bullshit, and eventually the HRE steps in and divides all the land up, and technically Bavaria wins. But, like, no one really
win
wins
it on a technicality.
They win it on a technicality, and then the HRE had to step in anyway, so
It's like when the other team doesn't show up and it's just a forfeit.
It's like, you've won.
It's not even that the team didn't show up.
Congrats.
It's like, what if the ref said, both of you are fucking stupid, this side wins?
Thanks for coming out. You're both idiots.
Thanks for coming out. You're both idiots. Because again, like this whole area of the world is under the HRE at the time, and like there are vassal states under the HRE, so they're allowed to do their own thing. Except for when they're stupid, the HRE steps in and says, "I own your asses. Listen to me." And more importantly, though, much like my first D&D character, Godfrey goes and gets himself a brand new shiny hand. This one is metal. And, well,
This one is metal.
This one's metal. This one goes up to 11. Well, the first iteration of his metal hand was crude and made very quickly by a local blacksmith and saddle maker just to kind of get something on him. Eventually, he commissions a second hand that was dexterous enough to let Godfrey continue his life with ease. The new hand that he commissioned was able to hold everything from a shield to a quill, so it pretty much functioned like a normal hand in 1500s Germany, which is wild.
That is pretty crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy to think that a prosthesis that old could be that functional.
Yeah. I actually can get you a picture of the metal hand. It's wild. It's really cool
I think I have
looking.
seen a picture of
I
this
want it.
hand before.
I want to see
I'm
it.
sending it in the group chat now.
I
The Iron
can't
Hand
wait.
of Gotz von Berlichen.
No,
Gotz
I
von-
haven't seen this before.
Yeah, I have another. I have like it looks like a draft image of it too. It's really cool looking. We'll post these pictures to our Discord.
But it has like articulate fingers.
Yeah, it's got our
Like
full
that's
articulation.
so interesting.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, that is actually crazy.
I'm sorry
and
because my memory sucks this late at night, but like what time was this? Like what year?
This was 1504.
That's insane
So
that they'd be able to
500
make like
500 years ago.
that's crazy. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that they had to make like working joints on suits of armor and shit like that, so it's not crazy that you could make like articulate joints in things, but like it is interesting to see one on like a prosthetic arm that early.
It's really, really cool and really, really intuitive. But yeah, so he continues his normal life, and with new hand in tow, Gotz basically stirs up trouble over the course of the next 47 years in his mercenary career. That's right, he continues to fight in wars until he's 64 years old. Guys,
yeah.
he really is Big Boss in 1500s Bavaria.
He truly is.
Just a few highlights to go over for the one-armed murked madman, just to kind of flesh him out as more than just the iron-fisted knight. He has a long-running feud with Nuremberg, because why not?
Oh, just casual. Like a casual, long-running
Just a
feud.
ca-
I
casual
also have a
long-running feud.
long-running feud with Nuremberg, so
Do you?
Don't we
Yeah.
all?
What are your
in
grievances?
opinion, they didn't kill enough Nazis.
Oh,
There you
okay,
go.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
I'll
fair.
take that. That's a good opinion. So he has this feud with Nuremberg that comes to a head in 1512 when he raids a group of merchants from Nuremberg right after he's coming home from the fair. That's right, he got some cotton candy and then decided to fucking stick up some merchants, because why not? To which Emperor Maximilian of the HRE is like, hey, Godfrey, you can't do this shit. You're getting an imperial ban. Which basically means that Godfrey was excommunicated from the Holy Roman Empire and considered legally dead in the eyes of the Empire.
Just like those rats were.
Yeah, okay.
Which means...
Yeah.
He has...
Excommunicate the rats.
Excommunicate the rats. Godfrey no longer has any rights as a citizen of the HRE because he's considered dead. However, the large asterisk there is he technically also can't be trialed for murder because he's dead.
What a loophole!
Oh my god, what a loophole.
What a loophole. He can't commit tax evasion because he's dead.
What a hero.
Eventually, he does pay a large sum of money to the Holy Roman Empire, and his ban is lifted, and he's reinstated as a citizen of the HRE. Because that's what happens when you want to pay your taxes in order to keep your castle. That's right, I forgot to mention, he did buy a castle at some point. Owning a private army pays very well.
Yeah.
I guess.
Still does today.
It still does today. In 1519, Godfrey and his boys are fighting to defend Machmul from the Swabian League. I'm so sorry, these are real things once again.
That sounds so crazy.
So he's protecting Machmul from the Swabian League. Sadly, the defense of the city doesn't really last long because the guy who hired him to defend the city didn't give him nearly enough bullets to do the job. And so the League...
That sounds right.
...takes the city of Machmul, and Gotz has to surrender. And the League whips around as soon as the surrender is signed and breaks the terms of surrender and holds Gotz prisoner because apparently he's too dangerous to let go peacefully. So Gotz becomes a prisoner of war for 3 years, illegally.
Damn.
Cowards. Big cowards.
They're really trying to keep a good man down.
Trying to keep a good man down. I will say Godfrey did piss off the Swabian League quite a bit on numerous occasions, so this was kind of par for the course between them. In 1525, he leads the rebel army in the German Peasants' War against the Holy Roman Empire, because of course he did.
Yeah.
Although,
I'm not surprised.
Who wouldn't fight the HRE if given the chance? He's done it
What's
twice
funny
now.
is every time that you say HRE, all I can think is HOA, and all I want to do is fight.
Look, you're going to tell me that the Holy Roman Empire wasn't the HOA of all those vassal states?
I'm not going to tell you. I'm saying it fits, and it makes me want to fight them harder.
I don't blame you there.
Well, I have never heard anything more accurate of the Holy Roman Empire being the HOA of Europe.
Yeah, it was the HOA of Europe.
And now the Pope is just a Karen.
So yeah,
a Karen for God.
A Karen for God. So the problem with him leading the rebel army is if you asked him, he wasn't really on the rebels' side or the HRE's side. He was just commanding the rebels because they paid him first. Truly a fight free of ideology and politics. Once again, a shoehorned in Metal Gear Solid reference. Colonel, I'm trying to beat the HRE.
True chaotic neutral. He's very chaotic neutral. He's like, I don't care who's paying me as long as I get paid.
Yes, exactly. He's just I've been joking this whole time that he is Big Boss from Metal Gear, but like the character of Big Boss from Metal Gear is, I want to create a utopia where soldiers fight free of ideology and politics because they just need to fight. They fight the good fight that they want to fight, free of what a government tells them. And that's literally what this guy's doing. He's literally just like, I make my merc army and I just go fight. That's because I love fighting. It's stupid.
Listen, I'm not saying he's wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying he's convinced me.
Yeah. I'm totally on the fence about this guy.
Like, I can see how some people would be like, hell yeah, brother. Love it. Live, laugh, loving for it. I just don't think I'm one of them.
Yeah, no, I feel you there.
It's a valid point.
He commands the rebels for about a month, and then is like, bruh,
right.
You guys
Solid
are too
tenure.
violent even for my standards. I want the HRE dealt with, but you're about to burn down every fucking piece of land that they own just to do it, so deuces. And he fucks off back to his castle to watch how the rest of this goes down.
He's like, I'm going home.
I'm out. Peace.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Spoiler alert for an event that happened almost 500 years ago. The peasants lose. And Godfrey is eventually asked to stand trial for his involvement with the peasant rebellion.
No, wrong. He is dead. So,
No.
sorry.
At this point, he's paid his fine to be reinstated and be alive again. Because
No, you can't just say you're not dead anymore.
look,
man.
Megan,
I am dead.
500 years ago was the same as today. With enough money, you can fix anything.
Can you imagine, like, in the middle of murdering someone, and they're like, you have to stand trial for that. You're like, no. I am dead.
No, you declared me dead.
I'm legally deceased.
And I am legally... How can you try a dead man, I ask you? Stab.
Stab. Yeah, so he's about to be put on trial, and like I did last week, what's that? With a steel chair? Why, it's the Swabian League. Because
Man, the Swabian... They just keep coming in, dude. They just keep at it.
yeah, Godfrey's like traveling to like go stand trial, being like, yeah, I probably committed some war crimes, but like, I'll get this shit straightened out.
Who
and the
hasn't?
Swabian League jumps out from behind the bushes and is like, haha, it's us again. And they capture him.
It's me, Waluigi.
Because they're just so fucking petty. And they have to be the ones
He's
to
like,
bring him
"You
into
didn't-"
trial because the Swabian League constantly has a score to settle with Godfrey. And Godfrey basically goes on house arrest until 1530.
Nice.
Wow, that's a long
Oh,
time.
no, sorry, on house arrest in 1530. So he's like...
in 1530.
Nice.
Now that the Peasant Wars are over and he was chilling in his castle, he went to go on trial, got captured by the people that hate his guts just to bring him to trial because they had to be the ones to do it. And then he was told, go fuck off back to your castle. And he goes, okay, I was going to do that anyway.
Yeah. Joke's on you. I wanted to go to my room.
But then, yeah, literally.
That's where my Xbox is.
Then a decade later, in 1540, Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire is like, damn it, we need to call Gotts out of retirement for one last mission.
One last mission.
So
We gotta get him.
Godfrey saddles up his horse and rides out at the age of 60 and goes to fight the Ottoman Empire. Because why not get them under your belt before you kick the bucket?
Yeah.
Honestly, why not?
That's what I'm going to do before I kick the bucket.
Go fight the Ottoman Empire.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm going to time
I
travel
think someone
back,
already did.
fight the Ottoman
Oh,
Empire.
your time travel. Okay, yeah.
I'm not going to do it in modern day. That'd be silly.
No, sorry.
Be
Yeah,
foolish.
I fucked up.
So he fights the Ottoman Empire for a bit on the side of the Holy Roman Empire, and then in 1544 he flips side once again and fights off the Holy Roman Empire from invading France because the King of France is like, Godfrey, you're the only one that can save us from the Holy Roman Empire. And Godfrey's like, all right, where's my paycheck? I'm 60 fucking years old.
I want to retire.
He's still fighting in battles, doing his thing. And that campaign does not last very long. And he retires after the France campaign, for real this time, and lives out the rest of his life in peace until 1562, when he dies at the age of 81.
Hell yeah.
Holy shit.
A life well lived.
A life well lived.
I know. He's the oldest man around.
Oldest man around, who can't stop killing, who has a private army and a castle, and he dies inside of his castle. And as a final note, because this man does get even better, Godfrey was credited with the creation of the Swabian salute, which is just the phrase,
I can't believe it,
lick my ass. Because when he told the because when he was told he had to surrender to the Swabian general the first time, he said he can lick my ass when he was told he needed to surrender.
Oh my god.
Stop it. This guy's a hero.
This guy is a real hero. A real non-American hero.
He is a non-American hero, but that doesn't make him
any less a hero.
Any less cool.
Yeah.
Any less a hero.
He is credited as the first person to coin the phrase and make it popular, lick my ass.
Oh, man.
Lick my ass. God, he's so good.
Amadeus Mozart, you're welcome.
It's true. Amadeus Mozart did have a song called Lick My Asshole.
I'm sorry. Nope. What?
Yeah. Mozart made a song called Lick My Ass.
No, he
didn't.
Yes, he did.
Oh my god, no! Mozart, he was just a baby.
Mozart was fucking wild.
Yeah.
But
we'll have to do a story on him sometime.
Absolutely. But that is my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Awesome.
That was good. I can't believe
we've been talking a lot.
Man.
So, Zach, you want to do our social stuff?
Oh, I'd love to. Hey, folks. How you doing?
What if he said no?
Yeah, what if I said no? What if I just said no and hung up the fucking call?
I'd improv, I guess.
He's like, I don't want to.
Exactly like that.
Hey, folks. How you doing? It's me, your boy.
You got super sensual there.
I mean, I can get more sensual if you want. I can talk real low.
Save that for the after dark.
That's for after dark only. That's behind a paywall, bitches.
Tell them about the paywall, Zach.
Here it is. If you want to help us out in a monetary sense and get something for it, you can go join our Patreon.
If you want to get sensual.
Which is patreon.com/Triumvirate Productions, where you get all sorts of extra goodies like my sweet sensual voice in the After Dark. You can join our Discord channel where all of us just kind of hang out and talk random bullshit. Like, it's a lot of fun. You get unedited episodes a day before the regular episodes go out. So, like, you can feel special because you get it early. You're fucking welcome. I got an energy tonight, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Dude, this is so aggressive.
If you can't support us monetarily, we understand that. Don't break your bank because you like what we do. You can also support us by following us on our other socials. You can find us on Facebook at The Triumvirate Productions. You can find us on Instagram at _Triumvirate_Productions. You can also just head on to iTunes and Spotify or wherever else you listen to your podcast and just give us a good rating and review. It really helps us because by giving us a rating and review, it bumps us up the charts, making it so that more people see us. So that way you don't have to do the thing where you bug your friends and say, hey, man, there's this really cool podcast. You got to listen to it. And then they go, I don't really listen to podcasts. And you go, shut up and listen to this podcast. It's so good. You can still do that, though, and I highly recommend it.
Have that exact exchange.
I planned it out loud for you. You have to do no thinking. I did the shower thinking for you. It's good to go.
And
don't deviate. If you do, we will find you.
We will find you.
And also, if you're looking for other arguments to tell your friend, what makes this podcast worth listening to, you can just tell them that they end the episode the same way every time, and it's with a loud bearded guy going, "What the fuck, history?"